I won't be long. It was interesting. I've heard Bill's presentation before, and it's very good to get a theoretical back end to the alternative to neoliberalism. And I followed Vaughan's campaign and your campaign for some time, and I think and everything Vaughan says is true. Is that that people are responding and how we go about them doing that. And I suppose that our campaign fits into it, and the Unite project. You know, you don't divorce the two in the by-election we're running now. When the alliance got, we had the little problem of Afghanistan with our MPs and felt the need to pull them into account, and knowing full well what that meant. And I think that there was an important position to take. I thought that as socialists, that voting for war to kill other people is actually a bottom line. I'm the most pragmatic of all the lefties inside the leadership of the Alliance at that time. But you know, as I said to Jim Anton at the time, I said, he goes, "But Jim, mate, your job is to hold it together. That's what you do." I said, "Yes, on things which don't kill people." But what do we say when someone in our dreams comes to us and says, "My family is dead, my children have their legs blown off, what was your culpability in it?" You know, and say, "Well, we didn't want to upset the Labour Party, and I didn't want Jim to growl at me." Because that's the answer, you know. And we didn't want to lose our seats because, you know, we loved having power. That's the answer. And so it was a principled position, and knowing full well what that result was going to, that decision was going to eventuate. And so we got elected to the streets of Parliament, the streets again from Parliament, and there's questions come down about how we then engage as the left and the socialists about how we engage now and people. One of the things about the Alliance, which I was always very conscious of, is that despite our rhetoric, we never really got into the working class vote. You know, they stayed solid with Labour. And so there's always a kind of wasn't happening. And partly I think it was because we didn't organise the working class, we wanted to sort of represent them. And I think that is for the left the challenge for me, is like things. So my sort of thing was, you know, and some of the comrades will have debates in due course, but my thing is that the Alliance in its form of what it was then, it's different form now, but at the time it was a pragmatic first past the post coalition against the new rights of allies that we could find, you know, in a first past the post system. That's what it was. And of course, once we did that, you know, it got a life of its own, and people thought this was great with all its contradictions. And we know that. Jim was our strongest weapon, but it was also our greatest weakness. You know, the cult of the individual is always a problem towards, you know, to anyone. And what we've got is the Greens, and to a large extent the Māori Party, so they have their own constituencies. You know, it doesn't rely on an individual, the great individual. I think the left has to do as well a progressive left outside the Labour Party. I believe in a progressive left outside the Labour Party. I don't think the Labour Party moves at all unless there's a strong left of ideas and push. So my sort of thing was to go back into the working poor and the working class and rebuild ground up. You know, I think we had great adventure. It was 14 years. You know, and gave it a check. I was surprised it lasted so long, actually. I thought, man, it's how long we can keep going. And it was an adventure, and it made a difference. It made a difference in this country. And I think we're all proud of that. So my sort of thing was going back to the workforce, and I spent 6 months having to talk to workers, having a chat with them. What's important to them? What's important, you know? And from out of that came the idea of how you build a mass working class movement of the poor. How to do that. And so the Unite project has been that. And in that 6 years, I said, is that not a credit card? Actually? Whoa, we've got a credit card, you know, off we go, who's in, you know? And it's just an idea. And you have great faith in working class people. It's the next generation. What was interesting is going out to sort of where you think, you know, people our age, and you go, you know, about the workers, yeah? And of course, I realised it was a no-go because what happened was, you think of these people, in 1983, we were made redundant, we're sold out, you know, and you can't, you know, it's sort of like, you know, everyone's got the history. And of course, what was it is the working poor, the new working poor, are the new generation, you know, and it's sort of like the future for the left is the young, the new migrants, you know, the new poor, because most of the people we represent now, or in our union, are not full-time workers. Probably 90% plus are casual workers. That's the new poor. That's the new generation. People are struggling to understand that. And of our union, quarter be Māori, quarter Pacifica, quarter new migrant, quarter you lot. You lot. And so it is kind of thing. Almost all are reliant on the minimum wage. And it's in partly, if you look at it on our side too, it's linking it to the minimum wage, and so they see the reason why they run campaigns. Our turnover is 66% a year of the membership. Over 30,000 joined our union in the time we've been going. You know, you've got to think about it. 30,000 people. I was at a conference, our leadership delegates thing about a year ago, and it's about 200 there, and I asked put their hands up. So put your hands up, those who've ever been in the union before. You know what? 3 people put their hands up. That was the delegates. You know? So these are people who've never done what a union is, which actually work for us. Because you're selling them the idea of what a union is, not what they perceive it to be. Oh, what's a union? It's about get together and you kind of, you know, it's a boss and you can kind of work together and you can think, hey, that's great. You know, and they love the idea of it because it's a new idea. Because they've been brought up as a culture under Rogernomics era. Everyone's for themselves. Look after yourself, Jack. You don't work with other people. It's all your fault if you don't make it, etc., etc. And so I don't buy any of this stuff about, you know, young people and about, you know, the next generation. I don't buy any. None of it, because none of it has been true in our experience. And our membership, half are under 20 years old. Half. 3/4 will be under 25 young. What's it young? What's that? We're people young. So, and they've got energy and they're not so fearful. You know, because when you get older, everyone's scared. You know, people get scared about their jobs and keep their head down and don't do it. So it's sort of thing it is. And so therefore we run campaigns. Our first campaign we started was the minimum wage of $9 and we said we'll go for 12. You know? Offensive. Big picture. And rallied. It was called the Supersize My Pay campaign. It built our union. You know, we started off with about 100 members, and within 18 months we've risen to about 3,000. And don't forget, we're recruiting like 600 a month just to stand still. You know, that sort of tune. You know. So we've done that. And once we did that, we had the security of hours. Big deal. Achieved that modestly, to be honest. We got, like when we started, there were no breaks at all. No meal breaks, no thing, no one got guaranteed any hours. It's almost normal in non-unionist site that workers are working for nothing. First, you know, trials for nothing, come into work, get trained for nothing, start work for 10 minutes or half an hour before each day for nothing, you know, clean up for nothing. This is normal. This was normal. Casual, had no rights, etc., you know, and thing. But one of the interesting things we got, which I was quite surprised and delighted by, was 15-minute breaks. Is that we achieved that in every one of our work sites before the 10-minute thing, because it wasn't 10. We just wanted 15 minutes. It was quite extraordinary. Is that was achieved, you know, in all our agreements. I think there was probably only one agreement we didn't get, but every other agreement we did. So we did break a whole lot of things we never had before, which workers just weren't. So when the 10-minute thing came in, it was actually a backward step for us, you know. So, you know, it's sort of harder now to get new sites to agree to the 50 minutes. But still, these were kind of things. Then we went on to Youth Wave and we got our 12 bucks. See, what was interesting, what I learned, you've got to go out and win it in the community. Tell me something how the suck eggs, of course. But you have to go out and win it in the community, you've got to win it on the site, and then you win it politically, last. So you had to give Labour cover. You had to get it first. So what we actually did is win it with the public, you know, and sort of the extraordinary thing of getting young people leaving school to come and march in the street, you know, and putting on the buses and bussing them in, and they just go run riot, it's all great. And then of course they occupy the Starbucks, and at the same time they were negotiating. You know, saying, well, what can I do? What can I do? You must help me save your business. You know, the youth are taking over. You know, because they know we're up to mischief. But we're two, in Auckland particularly, because it's logistical, yes, resources. We had nearly 1,000 out in one from the high schools, and at the second one we had probably about 1,300. You know, and that's exclusive of all our own members. So we were getting marches and rallies in Queen Street, you know, 2,000 to 3,000. You know, that was extraordinary. I mean, these people never taken action before. And so the weight of that got us the first agreements, restaurant brands and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Starbucks and Pizza Hut and McDonald's and Burger King. And we wouldn't have got those, and that was through mass action by the workers themselves, but also the customers, the public. Once we got that and got things like the difference in the youth wages and the difference in getting up to 12 bucks and so on, then Labour and with the Greens have always been so they feel more comfortable in then moving things along. And so, you know, what that taught me. So you know, it's got what Vaughan's saying about the GST. You know, you've got to win the public debate first, you know, and then you've got to work from there, and then, you know, when it's safe, that Labour can be almost reliable. And so, but I think we would need to push from the left. So that was kind of the story. Then, in the